Jamaica is known for its rich culture and its iconic reggae and dancehall music that are influential in the international music industry. Reggae music began in the late 1960s and quickly emerged as the country's dominant music, which was later followed by dancehall in the late 1970s. Jamaican popular music has influenced various genres like hip hop, reggaeton, and many more. Jamaica has bred many musical legends, but Bob Marley is known for putting Jamaica on the map. Our music is a part of a cultural advantage and is adored globally and carries a lot of economic value.
What does this mean for Jamaicans in music?
If this aspect of our culture is an economic driver, how can we develop our music industry?
Ensure you don't miss this highly anticipated episode on Thursday, May 13th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m.
CovidCastJA, episode 53, The Business of Music.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the highly anticipated episode, The Business of Music. It is episode 53 of CovidCastJA. We are here every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Welcome. If this is your first time, I know you're wondering, where do you find the other 52 episodes? Of course, we have them for you. Visit smallbusinessportal.com. That's smallbusinessportal.com. You can also find them right here on our Facebook page or on the YouTube page. So you can catch up with all the episodes that we look at various issues that have affected business during COVID, but also to equip our micro, small, and medium enterprises to really strengthen their businesses as we come out of this COVID pandemic. And as you know, CovidCastJA would not be possible without our sponsors. NCB Group, the JMMB Group, we just want to thank our sponsors. And before we jump into the business though, just to let you know that in support of each of our episodes, we have a memo that we prepare. Yes, because we know say everybody can just watch the thing and understand. So please email us at sme@psoj.org so that you can get our weekly memo. And to find out about the memos of the past, go to smallbusinessportal.com. By the way, this Sunday, May 16th is very action-packed. We Pay, a member of the private sector organization, is provided 1,000 free e-commerce web stores for MSMEs. If you want to be able to sell online and get paid directly to your bank account, don't miss this opportunity to sign up for a free online store. So you can go to www.weshopscaribbean.com. You got that? www.weshopscaribbean.com. So right after the show, log on. Romeo, I'm seeing you. Jordan, welcome. Beverlyn Campbell, welcome. Sandra, welcome to another episode of CovidCastJA. Also on Sunday is the 8th annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture. This week, Sunday, May 16th at 3 p.m. live on TVJ, you will hear from the president of the PSOJ, who is also the CEO of the JMMB Group, Keith Duncan. He is the guest speaker and he is going to be exploring the topic leadership during crisis. So beg you, save the date. Put it in your calendars from now, Sunday, May 16th at 3 p.m. live on TVJ, where you will hear from the PSOJ president, CEO of JMMB, Keith Duncan. But tonight, we are going to be talking about the business of music. And our first guest tonight is a gentleman that I know you've been waiting for with bated breath. You need to hear from him. He is Jessie Royal, an internationally acclaimed singer, songwriter, performer, and recording artist from Kingston, Jamaica. You know about the modern day Judas. Through vivid storytelling rooted in the belief of a universal truth, his music carries a message of hope, strength, love, and consciousness. Not just a musician, he is a father. Congrats again, Jessie, a community-based thought leader, and a global citizen guided by his spirituality and sense of righteousness. Over the course of his career, Jessie Royal has been blessed to create with some of the world's most respected artists, musicians, and producers, including Protégé, Chronix, Vybz Kartel, Damian Marley, Major Lazer, and many others. In 2017, he released his debut album, Lily of the Valley. The album received critical acclaim and topped the Billboard Reggae Album charts. Jessie Royal, welcome to CovidCastJA. We're glad to have you.
Greetings. Thank you for having me. And this is such a brilliant initiative, you know what I mean? Give thanks for feeding the youth, you know what I mean?
Thank you. So we're feeding the youth tonight with some information and learning about the music industry. You notice there are a couple of things that most Jamaicans think they are. Business people, and everybody's a musician. Everybody want boss a tune. And tonight we're really going to be talking about moving from this concept of bossing a tune to actually how do you create a business as an artist. One of the things you said backstage, which I really do have to start with, is you have learned how to be a manageable artist. Can we start here? What do you mean by being a manageable artist?
All right, so what happens is when you create, it's easy for your ego to take a hold of you, you know, and you start to throw off the balance in the bigger pie. So I've learned that in order for things to really work here and out there in the world, because businesses talk to businesses, you know what I mean? Managers talk to managers, lawyers speak to lawyers. We as artists, we speak to the audience, but it's a big pie where everybody's input is necessary and valid. Yes. So in order for you to be your greatest self, you have to have people that you trust to help bring your greatest self out of you. You know what I mean? So when we say becoming a manageable artist is definitely something that a lot of artists need to look into, is because you do need a team. You know what I mean? You need people who are there to support, there to motivate, there to make the right deals, you know what I mean, are studying the game from different angles. You know, like a football team where when you reach certain level of football, the goalkeeping coach has his own setup and his own routine when I go work for the goalkeeper. The midfielders have a different set of coaches. The striker, them have a different set of coaches, because now everybody can play. You enter in a game where everybody can play. So we have to be studying and we have to refine the talent that we have working with to literally be able to stand up amongst the best of the best. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's
interesting how you framed it, because you really framed the being a manageable artist in a very business kind of form. Yeah. And sometimes we don't see the business of music, and artists don't recognize that the product that they're selling is themselves. You know, that brand that they've created.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the movement from a creative process where, you know, music is coming in your head to actually getting a song out, released, and making money? What is that process like?
Well, the root of it, which is some would argue that what you're going to do with the music is a little bit greater than the music that you create. That's definitely an argument that people have out there. You know what I mean? Because there's people who have done more with less, you know what I mean? And there's people who have had everything that says it should work and it still don't work, you know? So it's hard for really answer questions in a definitive manner, because it is such a it's a weird feel, you know what I mean? But what I do is I study what's going on. I read other people's contracts, you know what I mean? I make myself as aware of the industry that I'm operating in as possible, you know what I mean? And as I say, like, you learn more and more that they don't talk to individuals, they talk to entities, you know what I mean? Or they talk to structures, you know what I mean? They don't really look for artists to talk to. Like, no, it's like, and then the ease of operation. You know what I mean? How much your thing is set up. So I learned that I will always be creating music. So one of the important things for me was setting up the structure of what I'm going to do with the music after. You know what I mean? So I need that ease of a pipeline, which is why I mentioned working with people that you trust and being transparent and also understanding that 100% don't belong to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so with them type of knowledge there, you are able to see where you fit in and then be able to expand on whatever it is that you are offering. Because just think about you being the person in the ring, but you having to be a coach too, and you have to be the one who wipe your sweat, and you have to be the one who worry about your nutrition, and you have to be the one who worry about how much you're going to fight for, and all of them little things there. You know what I mean? These things become heavy.
Yeah.
So what me I try to do is trust other people so that you have a generation of youths who are not only entertain the idea of other positions in the field, but them trust the bigger pie. You know what I mean? Them trust the bigger pie and understand, say, yeah, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you think you're making now by yourself, connecting with the right individuals and the right entity and being able to expand as well as have a greater output and a further reach will always be beneficial to the artist. You know what I mean? So sometimes we tell people, say, yeah, we can hold on to things, but you don't want to hold on to 100% or nothing.
Yeah. And even that process where people don't understand what is behind the business of the music.
Yeah.
That it is a pie and it is entities doing businesses. There's contracts, there's a pipeline, there's that output. So it is a business just in the same way.
Agreements that have to be made so that the thing is real. You know what I mean? Because as like sometimes we work in a very freelance manner, you know what I mean? And we just do things, and as creatives, you know what I mean, you just do whatever. But I can tell you, even on my sophomore album, you will see a lot more names listed on the project. Because I am trying to, as me I say, push the whole idea of, hey, being a songwriter is a valued position. You know, production is a valued position. Harmonies is a valued position. Like input is a valued position. So sometimes if everybody are run to the stage, who's going to be the audience? You know, who's going to play the music? So we have to empower those other positions too. So as me I say, if you look on my sophomore album that will be out on June 11, you're going to see people listed even if they only uttered you know what I mean? I value that because I feel like you also added energy to this track, you know what I mean? And we'll try move the thing in a them way there, because I always feel like we don't really need to tell creatives what to do. Jamaica will forever, like, you know, the brother where wipe a car glass, him can probably sing one of the wickedest tune them you gonna hear in your life. You know what I mean? So creating the juice isn't the problem. It's just understanding that we have something special and we need to take it serious and be able to safeguard it. So as I say, there's the creating the music, and then there's understanding, distributing the music, understanding after you're distributing the music, checking out your stats so that you know where your audience is, you know who it is that you're talking to, you know where people like you, you know what people like, and then your structure now knows how to maneuver a little bit more. Your booking agent knows how to, you know what I mean, like everybody who is in the bigger pie, as may I say, knows how to maximize the potential of the product that we offer, you know.
And the audience is really hearing, you know, I see Jackie Clark say Jessie Royal is very talented and extremely modest. Roger Jessie Royal, how he's asking a question. And Rajesh, you're way ahead of me. He wants to know, how has your strategy changed since the start of the pandemic? How have you had to pivot your own business of music during the pandemic?
Okay, so for me, I've definitely pivoted in the sense of like that's how we've always been, but we've just had more time now to explore different relationships. You know what I mean? And I am grateful to say that during this time, I've been able to maneuver some relationships with people that help me to be more of an effective individual, which, as me I said, brings us back to partnerships. So for one, there's the partnership with Jacana, where yes, we make music, but we make music to help to develop the mind state of the youth them and the consciousness of the nation. But I, for one, Jessie Royal, as a Rastaman, believe that herb is also an integral part of that conversation. You know what I mean? It is also a method to peace. So I realized that one thing that was happening in this short time was that it was becoming out of reach for the average man, which is who needs it the most. So we created a whole line called Originals, which we were able to create high quality product at a very affordable price. And these are the things that make me proud also, because our influence and the mission that we're on don't really stop on a stage. You know what I mean? And a microphone is not the only place where the message will be sent out. See? So there is that. And then there's also Digicel and the Digicel Foundation, who has helped me to help so many other youth and help so many other communities get a hold of themselves, brush themselves off, and get some sort of sense of pride and dignity. Because among everything else, we have to remember, say, if the people them don't feel good, if the people them don't feel worthy, if we aren't making people feel like this is a Jamaica that they also belong, then we will continue to fight the same struggles that we fight, whether it's crime or just the insecurity or whatever. But we have to realize, you know what I mean, you can't fight it from the back end. You know what I mean? So when we start make people feel like Jamaica really for them own, and really make people start identify with the idea of already being rich, and not making people identify with the idea of being sufferers or being former slaves or being people who are oppressed, you know? So we have to try to change the whole conversation and retrain the minds and the mindset of the youth. And I couldn't do that with only music, and that is one thing that this time period has allowed me to do. You know what I mean? Be able to set up the minds for when the music release. You understand? Because you don't want to throw a pearl to swine, like them say one time in a one book. See? So we have to ensure, say, we are also developing the society which we're speaking on behalf, and that we want the change to forward, you know. Because I, for one, I don't know about nobody else, but me not really come here to sing like the same thing over and over. Like I have absolutely nothing personal with any government or any individual. What my thing is against oppression, suffering, and just basic way of life or provided to the people. You know what I mean? So that is where me, because I honor who deserves honor, you know what I mean? And that is how me look on life, you know, and I don't want to keep singing the same song from now till thy kingdom come. You know what I mean? So at some point in time, me want the song to be, oh, what a lovely government we have. You know? At some point in time, I want
pieces of music you contribute to that change.
Right. So I want it to change. I want the music to someday become, hey, look at Jamaica and what we've done. Yesterday we were in the slum. Now we are clearly children of the sun or whatever, you know. But this is how, as me I say, if we really try to change things, we have to look on the thing holistic. And that is one thing what them time period show me, you know.
So at the beginning of this COVID pandemic, and the reality is that the pandemic has led to more digitization, so people online more, and people have gotten more innovative. So with everything else that's going on, there's always the flip side of it. And you mentioned even that you got some time to look at things differently.
Yeah.
Take us back to the beginning of the pandemic as a business person. So you are a creative, your product is your music, but also the voice that you have, and being on stage, going on tour, pressing flesh.
Yeah.
What was that process like, that change when you say, but the place locked up?
If I'm being honest, my agent will tell you we were holding on for a while, you know. We did hold on for a while because we say, hey, them deposit here is not going back. See, we're hitting the road, wall out. You see me I say? But so it came as a shocker because at the time too, we never really even know the whole depths of what going on in this whole thing. But as me I say, it separate and apart from tours and not being able to go out there, it, as you said, it forced us to look at other ways and means, and it showed us that, hey, we've got so many ways to connect that no matter what go on, we will still be able to, I don't want to say communicating, but we are going to still be able to connect. And them time period there has shown us that, yo, it show with the value of a conversation. You know what I mean? It show with the value of time. With even them curfew and all of them little things in place, you know, it make a man value time now. Because once upon a time was neither here or there. You know what I mean? No, I remember the other day, somebody said to me, what are you doing here so early? You know, I'm 20 minutes early for meetings, and that's just how we operate. Like right now, I don't have as much time as I did before. And I value my time. So guess what? If I'm giving you this amount of my time, I am going to cherish it. I don't know if you're going to cherish it, but me, I'm going to make sure so you know, so me value the time what me I give you. You understand? So that in itself, as me I say, are definitely qualities that I'm glad that we regain and we get even sharper with the whole mentality, because the reality is out there in the world, like so many of our greats before us, we have to know how to operate out there, you know what I mean? And we have to know
in
how
this global landscape that we're in.
Yeah, man, and we have to be able to deal with people like we want to be dealt with, you know what I mean? And I like to tell people, say, we are a small country, you know, but we have a huge brand in the world, you know what I mean? And every time one of we step out, we represent this. So it's like, are you making us richer or poorer? You know what I mean? Like, just think about what you do. You know what I mean? Because you already get such a rich legacy. You know what I mean? You already get such a rich legacy. So it's like, are we adding to it or are we devaluing it?
Yeah.
You know?
But it's amazing even how you frame that portion, because the business of your music and the business of what our music in Jamaica is bigger than just an artist. We've created a movement that we're known worldwide. This little piece of island, worldwide. Yeah. So every time you step out there, you are Jamaica stepping out there, you know?
And then
so,
on a bigger level, you know, on a bigger level, I can tell you as an artist and a musician, like, Jamaica not have enough people for we sell to. See? So we have to develop globally palatable products if we really want to make a mark out there in the earth. You see me I say, and that is just me being factual. Like, people can argue and say whatever they want to say, but the reason why a lot of these other genres are a bit more financially successful than we are because they have a bigger pool dipping in. You know what I mean? Them have a lot more people working with. You know what I mean? Like, so we have 1 million people, well, we have to try get $20 from each of them to make $20 million. Versus having 20 million people we only need $1 from.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a completely different perspective. So we who dare ourselves understand that, you know what I mean, operate in that manner if we really say we are doing music and take on music. Because sometimes the rough thing with music out here, so say, as me say, we're just a freelance, but you have some place in the world, man, where like myself, I know we have budgets and we have to, you know what I mean? We have to work with the budgets and we have timelines and we have deadlines and you have other people time that is also depending on how quick you do what you need to do, you know what I mean? And things we need to fire and all of these other little moving parts, you know what I mean? And them things are important to learn and get into that mode of operation so that when you do garner that interest from outside,
Yeah.
them know for work with you and them know where to route the dollars.
So this has really been such a great discussion. But you have to tell us, what are you seeing as the outlook? We're in 2021 now. The virus is still here. You've just released an album, notwithstanding that there is a virus. What are you seeing as the outlook for 2021 and beyond?
All right, so for 2021 and beyond, I think first of all, we need to like see the importance of preserving this thing here what we have. You know, we need to develop at least a couple of centers about here where people, because there's people who, can you believe that there's people who come to Jamaica and can't find nowhere to hear live music? You know, like these are some issues that, as me I say, we need to address, but we need to address them. We don't need to like tell somebody else to address them. It's like we need to address them. So I feel like no for what me I think about moving forward is just development of infrastructure. You know, and I'm working with people who also see the importance of that. You know what I mean? Shout out to Digicel. Them see the importance of developing the platforms for the people be themselves. You know what I mean? And to help, you know what I mean? Like regenerate the love that we claim to be looking for. You know what I mean? But it's like, what are we changing? It's like, you know what I mean? If you ain't sweeping up, don't complain about the dirt. You know what I mean? Like if you're not willing to take up the broom and sweep up the place, don't complain to the place dirty. You're all right with it being dirty then, in a reality. Because if you weren't, then even if I have to cut off 2 coconut tree leaf and strip them off and put them together, you're gonna create a broom. Because I've seen people do it, you know. So that's the mentality for 2021 and beyond. And as well as just exposing ourselves to the world, you know what I mean? And understanding that we have to put ourselves out there. We're great in Jamaica, but there's great things happening around the world. You know what I mean? We may think so we are the only thing happening in the world, but no. You know what I mean? So we have to always check what's going on out there in the world, analyze things, analyze ourselves, and then forward again and try again and keep doing things and keep re-envisioning what the idea of Jamaica is. Because I continue to tell people that respect you, and I love all of my elders and respect you, but I am not going to say that somebody in 1920 or 1962 for that matter knew what world we would be living in 2021. I knew how we would have got operate. So even them little thing they have to leave room, you know, we have to stop, close the book them so early. You know what I mean? Lock the Bible, them lock the law book, them lock everything too quick, man. We still learn, you know, we still need to have that space as people to grow and expand. So infrastructure and them thing there, super important, both physical infrastructure, mental infrastructure, and just we as a people now need to start own up with thing them and like appreciate of with thing them, because everywhere else in the world that's rich is just places that understand their resource and take the time to use it and gain them wealth. Otherwise, we are gonna keep borrowing, you know.
Oh, I love it. So, Jessie, when your new album, your sophomore album?
Yeah, June 11 on all streaming platforms and all shelves. Just released a video for my latest single, a song called Rich Forever, featuring the immortal, you know, world boss, you know. So yeah, go check that out, and that is definitely a whole part of the conversation where we are trying to push the youth their mentality. You know what I mean? We're rich forever. You know what I mean? Like imagine how much they robbed, how much they stole, how many lives we lost on the journey, and we still have more for offer, and we still keep them soul up, and we still entertain them, and we still enlighten them like rich forever, man, you know. So we just remind the youth them say, if you look deep, man, if you look deep and you look past the whole foolishness what them are try pushing our brain, then we see the glory of our story, and that we are try to remind the youth them of. Come, I feel like once them start remember who them is, then some of them little thing you will go on and them challenge you where we have face, I go look like some pebble.
Wow, Jessie Royal, internationally acclaimed singer, songwriter, performer, and recording artist. And please, we have to add to that list, he is indeed a businessman who understands the business of his music and
trying.
Yeah, man, and holds steadfastly to being an artist that is manageable. So we look forward to when that album drops June 11th. Thank you very much, Jessie, for joining us on CovidCastJA.
Thank you so much for having me. And as me I say, keep on spreading the knowledge, man, because that's really the key, you know?
Yes.
Love.
Thank you. All right. What an evening. And we have more to come. Javar, I'm seeing your comment. We have to control our situation. Our situation will control us. Romeo says, too many talks that make little or no progress. Romeo, help us with how we're going to move it forward. Kemoy says, it's very important to value everything about Jamaica, from the people, resources, and challenges. Javar, Monsieur Mansa, Mosa, level riches. I can't even read it properly, but you know what you just said, Javar. Sandra says collaboration is key for survival in this time. And Kemoy says Jessie is purposeful and insightful. And certainly what was interesting is his perspective of the business of music and all that is involved. It's not just a creative process. It's actually moving the music onto the stage, onto the streaming, understanding that it is that there are agreements involved, contracts involved. There are so many persons that collaborate to create this music, the acknowledgement, etc. And we are going to now welcome a gentleman, Steve Urchin Wilson, who is an entertainment manager and author. And Steve is going to be bringing us some even more insights into the business of music. In 2001, Steve signed on to help pilot the iconic career of multi-platinum Grammy Award winner Sean Paul. He spent the last 15 years traveling to over 100 countries, you hear me, 100 countries, and presiding over logistics, booking, touring, promotion, and recording for the dancehall superstar. Before that, he started out at Bob Marley's legendary Tough Gong record label as a marketing exec and was a studio manager for G-Jam Studios, overseeing sessions for The Roots, Common, The Gorillas, No Doubt, and others. This is Steve Urchin Wilson. He also plotted to bring EDM and house music to Kingston via, and everybody knows, the brand new Machine Party series that saw super DJs like Diplo in Jamaica for the first time. He's a partner in the boutique label Future Sound of Reggae that has featured releases from Jessie Royal, Naomi Cohen, Mink Joe, Craigie T, and others. And most recently, he was one of the local partners in the initial staging of the critically acclaimed Tomorrow Today Culture Festival in Negril. He has also published his first coffee table book entitled Look Down, available on Amazon. Steve, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me on, man. Thank you. I love this initiative as well. I have to really echo what Jessie said. This is fantastic, and I think it's so great that you're allowing, giving us a platform to speak and to share our knowledge, and and hopefully people are responding well to it, because I think it's a massive bar of gold that you're putting on the table.
Thanks so much, Steve. And Steve, as you mentioned, the sharing of knowledge. I mean, you are manager extraordinaire, but behind all of that, you understand the business of music. Can you tell us a little bit about building the career? Because we would have heard from Jessie, who is the product,
Right.
He's the artist. Now, you signed with Sean Paul. How do you move from Sean Paul down at Jamaica to international acclaimed superstar? Well,
it was a little bit easier for me because when I came along, Jeremy Harding had already done a lot of the heavy lifting. So, I love what Jessie was saying about being a manageable artist. I've never heard artists actually say that before, and I thought that was so very valuable for him to say. And I think that he's not a normal artist. The things that he understands and the perspectives that he has and that he was sharing today really show how much he is a student of the industry that he's in. And a lot of artists are not like that. Most artists are like he actually alluded to it, are very obsessed with the creative process and just want to make music and perform shows, and then everything else is like, well, I don't know what to do, or or I need somebody on my team to figure that part out. So I think a very huge part of being a manager is constructing that team and then making sure that team functions fluidly. And so I think that's a very big part of, and I give credit to Jeremy Harding, who brought me in on the Sean team to say, well, I need somebody to travel on the road with Sean, who has been on the road and who understands some of the people that he's going to come in contact with and some of the challenges that he's going to experience, and to be there to help pilot it for him, So I think team building is a massive part of it. And I think also understanding the scope of the industry and understanding that it's not just like what Jessie said, it's not just us making music, right? Everybody in the world is making music right now. And so when we get our chance to have our voice be heard, make sure that we're saying it well, saying it loud, saying it clearly, and saying it and presenting it in the most attractive and ebullient way that we absolutely can.
Yeah. And as you talk about it is more than the creative process. Jessie mentioned that just about anybody in Jamaica could make a pretty good tune, but how do you actually?
I think so anyway.
Or they think so. Can't you think so? But when the entity and the structure that's behind the music, can you describe that a bit for us? I noticed that a lot of people say, me a management, and everybody is a manager. What really does this entail in the business of music?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the things that I think that a manager really is there to do is to allow the artist to have an environment in which to create, that he doesn't have to wake up in the morning and think, well, how is this going to work? And how is that going to work? And is my visa, up, or is, how much am I getting for the shows, and how much am I paying the band, and how much am I paying this person? And all these questions that would be in the head of an artist who doesn't have a good management team, or who doesn't have a management team at all. So a lot of it is very logistical. And, sometimes you ask somebody, how much is this product? Oh, the product is $100. But have you figured out how much it costs you to make the product? How much is it going to cost you to get the product from where you are to where the consumer is, right? So that's the business behind it. Is, okay, sure, you've created this product and you've now. And the other thing about music business is you kind of invent what you think the value of the product is and see if the market will bear that price, right? There's very few products that are like that. You don't go to the supermarket and there's a Coca-Cola bottle on the shelf for $10,000. It doesn't happen because everybody knows, well, colas and drinks are in this price range, so we have to price ourselves accordingly. And if you can't produce your product to make money at that price point, then you're going to be in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. And that is also a big part of what management does, is to make sure that when the artist is doing a show or creating a product, they're not spending too much, and if whatever they spend, to be able to make sure we can make it back when we sell the product, bring the product to market. Okay.
And how you've been able to just link it so that we are recognizing that it is a business, and the making money and the continuous revenue generation of this business actually requires leadership, it requires management, it requires you surrounding yourself with the people who know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Now, I know everybody needs to understand, because you mentioned logistics. Just we need to touch a little bit. When you're going on one of these big tours with, say, a Sean Paul, what's the kind of process behind it? Because we will see when Sean is wheeling off his bag in him shades and the paparazzi taking the photos. But there's a whole lot that got Sean to the venue that gets the show going and gets him back home. Can you tell us a little bit about that part of the business?
Okay, so that part of the business is speaks specifically to having a great booking agent, which Sean has in Jerome Hamilton, Carlet Dillion, Headline Entertainment. That whole team has been fantastic with us for years and years and years, longer than I'm prepared to admit, right? And that is a lot of, again, management and booking is, you can be reactive, which is that you wait for the phone to ring, or you can be proactive. You can realize there's a market there that doesn't know that you're ready to come, or how to get to you, or you can sit back and just wait for your phone to ring, right? And I think it's really important, and it's something that we need to learn to do better, is to be proactive, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you've said, okay, you've engaged this show to get the artist there, okay, then like I said, all those other things I spoke about, which is working out your budget, working out how much is actually going to end up back in the artist's pocket, How much does it cost to move? When should you book the tickets? Because if you wait too long to book the tickets, they cost 3 times what they cost you. You know, if you book it later, how much is it? How much are the hotel rooms? Which hotels should you stay at? I mean, those are the easy things. The harder things are things like visas, right? Because in Jamaica, being Jamaican, you need a visa to go to the bathroom. So sometimes we've even tried to create bands that have foreign, or at least foreign passported members, so that we have less of that logistic to worry about and to look after. Because sometimes it's like, okay, we're going to Turkey to do a show. Great. Do we need a visa to go to Turkey as Jamaicans? No, we don't. Okay, great. So does that mean we can sit back and don't get 10 visas? No, because you can't fly from Jamaica straight to Turkey. You have to go to 3 countries or 2 countries, and you need visas to go through those countries. So how long does it take you to get those visas? Because you don't walk in and get a visa overnight. And then what happens if the US embassy says, okay, you get your passport back in 2 weeks, but you have a show next week in France? Then how do you plan that? Right? So there are all these things that you have to make sure that you logistically deal with. And then there comes the cultural questions. So Sean went to Saudi Arabia actually twice recently, and we'd never been before. And of course, there's all these rumors and worries and, you know, what's allowed over there and what's not allowed. And we're like, okay, so the dancers have to be covered head to toe. Or do we just not take dancers at all? Because we don't want to offend with anything, with movement, with words, with what we're saying, with, you know, anything like that. And you have to be something that you almost have to have a ambassadorial level of understanding of our culture to make sure that you don't go there and think, well, I can just do what I do when I go to America, or I can do what I do when I go to a Spanish country. And then another addendum to that now is, what of your repertoire is popular in that country that you're going to? Because sometimes we've been to countries and we land and we're hearing a song on the radio that Sean is like, when I voice that song again? And how the hook go? And he's listening and he's like, so they play this song on the radio here, and they're like, yeah, this is your biggest song here. And he's like, whoa. Like, we had no way of knowing. This is, days before internet or whatever. So, or before how it is now, where now everything, it's easy to find out these things now. But back then it was, it's something that you need to figure out and know, and you have to ask the promoter. So, okay, so are there songs that we should be performing? And he would think that what your big songs are, because as far as he's concerned, that's why he booked you. Yeah. Maybe you don't know what your repertoire is doing well there. Jessie Royal may have a song that's doing really well in Germany that he don't know that is doing well in Germany, and he goes there and he doesn't do that song in his set, and everybody says, oh boy, that show is terrible. That would never happen to Jessie, because he would educate himself. But you understand? So all of these things are questions that you have to ask and be proactive to find out.
Yeah, and the great Carlette Dillon is just sent a question. Hi, Carlette. Steve, do you think the unprofessionalism of some artists is holding them back on the international stage?
There is absolutely no doubt about it, which is why I was saying I just really wanted to sing Jessie's praises again, because it's like what he was saying and understanding how important it is to be work-withable is so hugely important, right? Because imagine you're going to one of these countries and somebody says to you, look, when you come here, you can't do this thing or that thing, or you can't wear this thing or that thing. And you're like, well, I don't care, because this is who I am and I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? Or what Jessie said about being 20 minutes earlier for a meeting. I have a rule that if you're on time for a meeting, you're late. Right? Because something could have happened on the way there and you could have been held up for 5 minutes and it would have made you late. So very few artists can do that or even think about that or value time in that kind of a way. Maybe more so now, like he said, because of COVID, but it's important for our artist manager to make sure, and sometimes you have to lie. You tell the artist you have to be there 2 hours before you really have to be there, and you end up showing up right on time, right? So, and who wants to deal with an unprofessional person in any business, right? I had a problem in my house recently with my plumbing, and I have 3 plumbers' phone numbers in my phone, and one of them I know is an excellent plumber. But when I call him, he's going to tell me he's coming, and he won't come today. He might come tomorrow. And when he comes, he's not going to have one piece of equipment that he needs, and I'm going to come back. And then there's another guy who's like, hey, he's kind of average. He's not the greatest plumber, but as soon as I call him, he's going to give me a realistic time. Like he's going to be there. He's going to come with everything that he needs. And if he has to go and get something, he's going to get it, and he's going to come back and he's going to finish it. Who do you think I'm calling? I'm calling that guy every time, right? So that happens with artists as well. I mean, if you're going to try and call and book an artist who may not show up, you're worried about he's getting on the plane. Is he going to show up on time? When he comes, is he going to sing the songs that are popular? How is he going to behave? What is he going to be wearing? Etc., 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 etc. You don't want to have to deal with
customer service again in the same.
Nobody wants to deal with that in any business. So why in music would you want to deal with it? And people have this opinion, musicians, artists have this opinion, well, I have the big hit song, so no matter what I do, it's excusable. And guess what? That might be true for the time that your song is number one. But the minute your song slips from number one to number 4, 5, or 6, they're booking the person who is next because that person is easier to deal with.
And I'm glad you added that part to the answer because Lisa, said, just asked, why would you prohibit artists from wearing certain clothes? And how is it unprofessional when the artist decides not to comply? And you actually figure out just how unprofessional it is when the artist is no longer at the number one. And right. It's easier to book number 4 because number 4 will always turn up. Because right now, people are looking for the path of least resistance that they can get their service, whether or not it is music or food or hotel. We want the best service. I
want to answer that question though, because it's a very interesting question that she asked, right? And it's something that people don't think about. So, for example, when you're doing a broadcast, a live broadcast, and they're broadcasting you on TV, they don't want you wearing stripes because stripes don't come across well on TV. They don't want you wearing white because white can disappear into the background. They don't want you to wear green because green can disappear on a green screen. There's all these things that can happen. And then there's also the logos. Artists like to wear very logoed clothing. And then the TV station or MTV and BET back in the day, I'm sure you remember this, they used to blur out the logo on things because they're like, we don't want to give free advertising consideration to brands who aren't paying for it. So those are all things that can happen. And your artist shows up in that shirt and the person at the station says, well, you can't perform in that shirt. And the artist is like, well, this is what I want to wear. Then where are you? You know what I mean?
There are so many considerations that we take for granted because we're still so focused on the song that has been created. But there's so much more behind keeping that song and getting that song at number 1. And Floyd actually has plus there's a lot of new talent now that is ready. And I want you to segue now to that Floyd has mentioned this. We've had over a year now of COVID. It's not a 9-day wonder. It keeps on going.
No.
From where you sit, what have you seen happening in the music industry over this year? There is the initial shock and the board of them closed to where we are now.
Correct. So the main thing to me that has been really, really interesting is the level of content creation that is going on, right? And you said it exactly right. There was this pause where everybody kind of said, what's going on? We're waiting to see what's happening. What are we doing? We're just sitting at home. We're trying to figure out how to deal with our, children, especially us who tour. We used to touring all the time. Our wife looking at us like, what are you still doing here? Right? You picture them looking at you like, I went to school and I came back and daddy's still here. What's going on? So there was that initial kind of like stunnedness, like you said. And then after that, I think what happened is the smart artists anyway started creating a lot. So Sean actually has just put out an album, a completely dancehall album called Live and Living. And he's going to put out another album later on this year because he's spent so much time in the studio creating, co-creating, collaborating. And there's also a lot of video content that we've made, social media content that we've made. And that has been the really smart way of pivoting. And what Jessie also spoke about as well, which is partnerships and figuring out new ways of creating revenue streams, partnering with brands, doing merchandise, finding new ways, coming on podcasts, speaking on different forums, educating those coming up behind you. These are all things that I have spent time doing during COVID. And I think that what's going to happen is we're going to see over the next 2 years more content coming out worldwide than we've ever seen in the history of humanity, right? And people are going to, what it means, it might sound like a wonderful thing, but actually for artists, it might not be, especially if your product doesn't stand up, because there's going to be so much competition. So before, your song that came out on Friday was 1 in 10,000. Now it's going to be 1 in 100,000. So why should I listen? And how are you going to get me to listen? Yeah. And that's where social media and streaming have really come on strong again during COVID. Now, the interesting thing was that when COVID first started, people were streaming more old music. They weren't streaming new music because you found people seeking comfort. So they wanted to hear the music that they grew up to.
Yes.
Right. And then when it started to normalize and we got used to being locked down, that's when we started listening to new music. So even things like Versus worked really well because people were nostalgic and we wanted to see these two old artists that were, boy, I love those. Oh my gosh, oh, he's still doing well, and he's still wearing that or dressing that we're doing, or haircut, or does he look old, or does she look old, or whatever. That was super interesting to us. And then, which I like, because it got a resurgence of a lot of veterans got a little bit of a chance to kind of come back in and get some limelight, which is dope. And then people started to say, all right, we're ready now. We want some new content. What y'all got? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of artists, like even Jessie, was saying that he's releasing an album, and best of luck to him, because I know he spent the time. And I know he's really been in the lab working on it, and I know he's going to come with a wicked product.
So the flip side of COVID is that artists have really had an opportunity to kind of go back to the drawing board and rejig the product that they're offering. I see Khaled, hi, Howard McIntosh, I've seen you too. But before that, Floyd says he has one of the baddest Corona song, What Is by Vocal on YouTube. We have to go check it out, Floyd. Khaled says, should financial analysts, MBA holders, and other professionals consider a career in the creative arts?
That is an interesting question. My answer to that is yes, because what I think that, especially, and I like to always speak about Jamaica, right? I think that Jamaica has suffered from a brain drain within the entertainment and music industry, and that might sound insulting, but what I mean is that the people who are in music in Jamaica are great at music and great at management and good at. You have people who are doing well, right? But we've suffered from not having somebody like what she's talking about, MBA holders and business professionals coming in and saying, all right, guys, we see what you're doing, but have you ever thought about doing it this way? Suppose y'all came together and bought a tour bus. So when you went to Europe, you didn't have to rent a tour bus, and you all co-owned it. Let's say 10 of the biggest artists co-own a tour bus, and when you're not using it, you rent it out and you actually make money off of it. Now, that's not something that I would have. I mean, I've just now thought about it, but I don't know. I wouldn't have time to implement it because I'm so busy with my day-to-day. We need people who can come in and big picture us, right? And something that, again, Jessie alluded to is we don't mine the gold of our industry enough. I feel like there's no music in schools, in prep school, in high school. That should be something that's taught from the earliest levels. I am super happy to see UWE, UTech, and Edna Man, they all have music management programs. I think it's way too late. I mean, it's always on time because we need it. But I've spoken to each of those groups, and I'm always willing to go and speak more, because what I want is when those students graduate that they're not just like, okay, I know book-wise what is needed. No, I want you to graduate and understand that day one you can start rolling. And I think that is great that we're going to have tertiary level educated people coming into the music industry, and I cannot wait. I want to hire some of them, right? Because a lot of the people who are in Sean's crew are people who are self-taught, right? And they're brilliant and more brilliant as far as I'm concerned because of that, not having that formal education. No one ever taught my engineer how to engineer. He just watched engineers, figured it out, asked questions, then learned. He had the aptitude for it, and he learned to do it. You know what I mean? And it's something that I like. Alpha Boys is my baby, and it's something that I really believe in, and I really want to see copied and repeated throughout Jamaica. And then the other thing is even having Jamaican record companies. People say VP. Yes, VP is a Jamaican record company, but they're based mostly in New York. They have an office here, and they've done a lot for reggae, no doubt. But I would like there to be 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I would like people to have options, and I would like there to be more of an understanding about marketing music and pressing and publishing and split sheets. I mean, every time I meet a new artist, I pull out a napkin and I say, this is a split sheet. Look, every time you're in studio, just make a little note here and write this down. And they're like, why? And I said, because that's your publishing. That's your proof of your publishing. And most of them don't even understand what publishing is and what it means. And so a lot of them sign it away without even understanding what they're signing away and what the value of it might be. And are they signing it away at the right time? Maybe they should wait longer. All of these things are things that we don't have readily at our fingertips on a wide scope. Things that I even learned very late and sort of along the way.
And that's going to be very important as we're really because we take it for granted that the music is already global, but people are trying to copy us now too, using our rhythms.
Copying us a long time ago.
Exactly.
I looked at a Japan Splash, which was the Japanese reggae Sunsplash poster from I think 1989, right? And it's pure Jamaicans on it, and maybe 2 or 3 Japanese artists. And I looked at one from about 15 years later, and it was all these Japanese artists. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. How did this? And they said, and somebody, a Japanese guy told me, he said, well, this guy sounds like Tiger. This guy sounds like Shabba. This guy sounds like this one. And they basically just went, these are the artists we like, but it costs a lot to fly them from Jamaica. Some of them don't show up on time. They don't want to behave themselves. They don't want to do interviews, blah, 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 blah. So they just figured out, well, we're just going to do it ourselves. And guess who loses? Guess who loses? Us.
We. And Howard McIntosh, because I have to squeeze in this question before you go. What would be the key points of advice you would give to persons wanting to become managers of artists or in entertainment?
Don't do it. No, seriously. I think that something that people have to understand to be in management is it's almost like adopting somebody, right? Because this person now looks to you for everything. You bucket to in the middle of the night is you are calling, right? So it's a lot of responsibility. The hours are they never end, really. And I think it's to give advice to it. I would say educate yourself as much as you can on as many aspects as you can. And then before you pick up and say you're going to manage an artist, make sure that you have at least some basic team members in place. So a booking agent, right? A lawyer. These things are super important. And again, when artists come into the business, it's not something they think about. So I've had artists who Google contracts and say, I'm just going to print this contract out and use it. And I'm like, no, you can't do that because it doesn't speak to your particular needs. So build your team, right? And then be prepared to put long hours in and repeat yourself a lot.
Okay, I love that. Thanks a lot, Steve, for that. And Steve, before you go, Look Down. Tell us where we can find Look Down and what is Look Down all about. And by the way, I'm Brady O'Connor. I see a question. We're going to give that question to Tara Playfair, who is coming up right after.
Awesome. Look Down was basically like, it's a COVID project. At the beginning of COVID, I was looking through my phone and trying to delete pictures. I think a lot of us were, and I realized I had a lot of pictures that I'd taken from this perspective of looking down. So I decided to string them together and add in quotes from my father and my grandfathers that I sort of distilled over the years, and so give some sort of basic wisdom to people. And I did it. I put it out on my birthday last year, which was my 50th birthday, which I really wanted to become a published author and create something, because I'm so used to being the person who brings the creative to the market. I've never actually created anything before and published anything, so it's my first creation, and you can get it on Amazon right now. That's the only place to get it. I do plan to bring some into Jamaica soon, but COVID doesn't help.
But when you're making your order on Amazon, know that you can also go and order Steve Wilson's book, Look Down. Steve, thank you so much. You know we have to bring you back because we're going to have a whole different conversation about publishing and all of that. Thank you so much. So if you're just joining us, we just had Steve Urchin, entertainment manager and author. And if you are wondering, okay, I just joined, how am I going to view this episode? Remember, the episode will be on Facebook, YouTube, on Small Business Portal. Very important episode, not only if you're in the music industry, but that wider discussion about the different careers also available in the music industry and how we come together as a nation to really spread this global music that is ours. Tara Playfair-Scott, Marketing Public Relations Manager Specialist. She is a dedicated, creative, and results-driven senior marketing executive with a highly successful background in marketing, PR, and product development. She's extremely skilled in networking and building collaborations and is known for increasing media exposure, generating market share within highly competitive industries and varied territories. She has held senior positions in the PR and marketing departments of companies such as BET, PBS, Discovery Networks, Lime, and Margaritaville. For the last 5 years, she's been consulting for companies such as Wicon, AISK, BCIC, Jerry and Neville, Ready TV, Proven Rate, Gale Cosmetics, wow, among others, along with handling PR for athletes and entertainers such as Asafa Powell, Sharon Simpson, Agent Sasko, Aishana, and Gabby Davis. Most recently, she founded The Social House, that is a collab house where influencers, creators from YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok can collaborate. Tara, welcome.
Oops, forgot to unmute. Hey, what's up?
We are so happy to have you on the show. And there was a question earlier that we've left for you because it looked like them didn't know say you're coming on. So the questions already start for you. But Tara,
yes, in
your industry, which is because you do both PR and marketing.
yes,
and just so that our audience understands the fine line between PR and marketing, because we kind of bundle them together.
yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between PR and marketing, and especially when it comes to working with artists, with sports, with athletes, etc.? Tell us a little about that.
Sure, I'll keep it pretty simple. Marketing really is more focused on driving sales. So you do that by promoting the product, the person, the business, services, ideas. And then PR now is more focused on, most people say, the maintenance of a positive reputation of a person, a company, a brand. But I also throw in there, sometimes you have to create that. Sometimes it's non-existent. So sometimes you have to create that reputation, a positive one, about the person, the brand, the company, etc. So that's basically how I describe the difference between the two.
Okay. And thank you for that, because one of the things that you're well known for is building brands, whether it is corporate brands, artist brands, athletic brands, athletes. When you decide to work with, say, an artist or an athlete, what's that kind of process in building that brand?
It varies because, like anything else, it is not cookie cutter. It's about the person. So people are different. They're unique. That's the beauty of them. So you have to approach it based on the person. And I'll repeat a word. Probably you'll hear me say it a lot throughout this. The core of it is authenticity. So you have to build around that person's authentic self. Absolutely, you could create something around someone, let's just say, oh, you're going to say this person is a bad dancehall. But that's not what they like to do. That's not their thing. Eventually, it's going to crumble. Eventually, it's going to come to a halt, because that is not true to the person. So in building anything, even if it is not a person, if it's a brand, be authentic about that brand. Promote its authenticity. What's real about it? What do people like about it? How is it going to connect if you're building a false narrative? It's not. Yeah, or it's not going to last, I would say.
And the platforms for how we build a brand now have changed significantly, because social media and even influencers is a whole. We just had a show on influencers recently. Tell us a little bit about that social media space. And somebody asked a question about monetizing in that social media space, monetizing the brand and the content. Can you tell us a little bit about that space, your experience in that space?
So absolutely. And I'm so sorry I didn't say thank you guys for having me tonight. And thanks for doing this. It's really great to allow persons to really understand how that music is an actual business. It legitimately is. And I think, unfortunately, in Jamaica, we don't really look at it as such. It's just a good time, it's something to enjoy, but it really is a business. So monetizing, that has, this last, what is it now, year and change, has really limited where persons can monetize. So no one's going out at a show, right? So even like in Europe, and Steve and Jessie can attest to this, you can say, hey, I want to sell merch. I want to be able to bring some stuff with me, whether it's CDs, whether it's shirts, whether it's this, whether it's that, and I'm going to be able to sell them out at these festivals, the summer shows, the festivals, etc. Same thing with Welcome to Jamrock. They allow you to monetize there as well by sending your products ahead of time. That's not happening. We really only have, for the most part, one way, and that's online. So I'm not sure if a person meant, if you have a website, that's also a good place. Drive up your SEOs, your search engine optimization. have merch on there, write catchy, snappy phrases around your.
For those who don't know this word, merch.
Merchandise. Yes. YouTube. Follow us out. Run YouTube ads. They do have ads. Run those. Get your numbers up. That way, you can. The more your numbers grow, is the more you're able to monetize on YouTube. Yeah. So look at that. Also, do not underestimate running ads on Facebook and Instagram with your music. So you may have you want to drive people to where they stream. That's what you want to do. So use that as your link. Have a smart URL that has all of the places they can listen. So people may not be able to access Spotify so great here, but you may want to target the US depending on your type of content. Maybe your music appeals more to a US, UK market, an EU market. So drive there where that's where they're going to be listening to these on these various platforms. Your Instagram stories, drive there directing them back to a smart URL where they can stream. They can go to your YouTube page, listen to your music, watch your videos, etc., etc.
And social media has become the platform. It is the stage that artists are on. You mentioned authenticity, and we can't help but notice that several artists have now gone on YouTube and have real life shows letting us into their lives and their homes. So we're seeing them in a whole different way. What has been happening? What's that?
I think, and I hate this word, but everybody's pivoting. That's what's happening. Hey, Wayne and Tammy, I look forward to their stuff, So everybody's found where they're comfortable and they're being their true selves, and we love it. We appreciate it. We can smell a fake a mile away. And so, when somebody's giving you legit content like, oh my God, I really woke up looking like this. I've had a horrible day. I have, 6 screaming kids and I'm just lost. Help me out here. We gravitate towards that. And again, it comes back to authenticity. I can talk about Sasco in that way as well. He legit loves to farm. I can teach him half the time. This is what he really has realized. This passion is neck and neck with music for him. So, building things, creating with his hands, drawing stuff, that's really true to him. And it showed that people have gravitated towards it.
Yeah, and this pivot in the music industry where artists have really just kind of shown us their different facets of their lives. You find that it's actually driving us now to be even more interested in their music?
Yes, I do. And I think also, let's not forget, in between the first 2 weeks when we're like, oh, shucks, yeah, we got 2 weeks off, we're home. Everybody's top of their screens was red. Everybody was live. Who wasn't DJing was, putting on a mini performance. And, because we all thought it was going to just be wrapping up real soon. It didn't. So, what's left? And I think the good that has come out of this is a lot of artists are all here at the same time. This really is a rarity and never really happened. It would happen mainly in early January if they weren't on a winter tour or something, and so they could connect up. Now artists are connecting, they're collabing, they're releasing fantastic music. Let's talk about Sean, Shaggy and Spice. That song is a banger. Sean's new album is amazing. People are being able to work with each other in a way they weren't able to before. So person might have said, boy, I'm gonna send you this little piece, I've left a blank space, fill in with your part. No, they can be in a studio together and create and get even more stuff out of each other. So I think there has been some really great benefits to this.
Yeah. And I see Patricia knows that Tara is a PR guru extraordinary. So she just threw in this question too. Do you find much difference in building the reputation of a charity versus a profitable business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can become very frustrating, to be frank, because I do have a mix of businesses, and the time it takes for some particular businesses for me to get a story published or something out versus another is chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
People, unfortunately, do not want content they feel isn't exciting, or release something wild about somebody or something is happening. So if you're talking about kids raising $1 million, it might take you 4 or 5 weeks to get this story out, and I'm talking from a legit experience, versus someone just is creating a new set of joggers today.
Mm-hmm.
The content that they want, or the content they believe is click-through content, they'd rather go with that.
Yeah. So that's a real thing.
It is a real thing. It's a very real thing.
And Tara, as we're even in this whole click-through and this social media space, you've been involved heavily in the staging of major festivals during the COVID period. What has that experience been like? How is PR and promotion different in this landscape?
That experience for me was a very, very, very good one in a lot of ways, because it really it allowed me to stretch my creativity a lot. And I was down when we couldn't have some fest, when I was planning alongside Facebook to do our launch there at their headquarters in New York. I was bummed. I was trying to force it. I was like, no, man, just a couple of, we can't. And they were like, no, no, you're not coming. We've locked the doors. You're not coming. And and then planes, flights started being canceled, and I was like, yo, this is really real, and you get down a bit, but then you turn around and you're like, how do we make this work together for both of us online, and actually put out content that people can enjoy over a few days, but also learn from. So, we had Pandora on talking about, the music on there, what gets played, what doesn't, how do you stream, different things, lessons learned, and stuff like that. So it's you have to figure out what works in the space you're in, and what can you do to tweak the ideas that may already be there, but how do you tweak them to work in the confines of a social space? Yes. Really, that's kind of where we've been left, unless you're going to Tampa and Atlanta.
Yeah. Otherwise, you have to use the social media space. And even when we're talking about promotions and PR on social media, and this whole question of building a following and a fan base and influencing, what kind of tips would you give to persons as they're considering, I'm an artist, I'm a young artist, I'm trying to build out my social media presence. How do I do that? Or I'm an athlete.
Yeah, or you could be in sports, you could be in entertainment. It doesn't matter what you're in. You could be a comedian. We're all in the same space right now. It's a level playing field, to be frank. And what I would say is, you have some tools that the social media space has given you. Use them. Go into your insights. Take a look at who's looking at your content. What's their age? Are they male? Are they female? Where are they? Are they in Jamaica, UK, US, Trinidad and Tobago? Where are they? What is it? Look at what is getting the most views, most clicks. What's driving them back to your website? What are they clicking through to? Look at it's all there at your fingertips. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. When you've looked at that now, this is what you start to deliver to them. What they like, not what you think they like, or what you like, or what your friend like, or what this person said, yeah, man, go on, keep doing that. And then also, where do you want to be? Do you want corporate sponsorship? No. You think that maybe, you just are going to do it on your own and monetize? So, you're just going to make money off of these videos and so on, so on, so. Because I'm here to tell you, corporate is watching. And if you are delivering a type of content that's not going to gel, you're going to have a little bit of problem when you're dipping into their DM saying, yo, yeah. Boy, would I love if, even if you send over a couple of products or, I can get a couple of grand for this video. It's probably not going to happen. Yeah. So you have to just decide where you're going to be and just follow that path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tara, you have many fires burning. Cowork JA. Yes. And we need to talk about the social house. What is the social house? What's this pivot?
This pivot. Yeah, well, the social house actually came, it's something I wanted to do in 2019, actually. Didn't get to do it, but was so sure I was going to be doing that last year. I got a blow there. And then I had a talk with Natalie Ottar at an event, and I talked to her. She's like, "Have you seen this thing happening? With influencers and da 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 da." And we talked, and I was like, something? Yeah, why not push through? Why not figure out how this can really work in the space that we're in? Yeah. So the social house it's a house. And influencers will be living in the house, and they will be collaborating together, or maybe not, to create content. And we have some great brands that have signed on. Flow has signed on. We have with Cinco that has signed on. We have MD Link will be ensuring that everybody's COVID-free and tested. We have PJ with Mint Cleaners to make sure the house is spick and span and safe. We have quite a few brands like Stewart's has signed on, and we're super excited with the companies that are coming on and how we're going to collaborate and make great content and have the viewers vote on what they think the best content is.
Wow.
So, yeah.
When does all of this happen? When we tune in?
We should be tuning in by the second week in June. We started doing a little shooting this week already. So yeah, get ready. We're going to be letting you know who's in the house and what you can expect.
And the amazing thing is that this is a project that this is just right timing where you have a captive audience and people get it now. And so as we're wrapping up, I want to hear your outlook for 2021 and beyond as you are looking at PR and marketing in this space with our artists, with our sports personality. What are you seeing in the future?
What I'm seeing is a lot, as I think Steve alluded to, a whole heck of a lot of content. YouTube has been the place where I've seen most persons driving towards. Depending on your audience insights, don't forget about Facebook and Facebook Live as well, because you can, as we are on Facebook, as you can actually both charge for your shows on Facebook, as well as they allow you to do long programming on Facebook, just like YouTube, and to monetize. So, I think sometimes we overlook something, seeing where everybody else is going, but maybe leaving an area open for you or what you want to do. I think, content right now is king. People need it. They want it. Everybody's home. Look at what's happened with Netflix and how many awards they won. And we've seen a lot of other companies following suit with original programming and creating stuff online only. TLC has done it with a lot of online programming and spin-offs. NBC and Peacock has done it. People are going there. Disney has done it. And I think Disney, the amount of people Disney brought on was ridiculous. So, online is where it is. Think further than our shores. Think beyond our shores. Think of what you believe can work beyond Jamaica when you're creating content. because you may just be creating something somebody picks up on and decides to expand on. So that would be my minuscule suggestion.
Think beyond our shores. Tara Playfair-Scott, always a pleasure. And Tara is Marketing and Public Relations Manager and Specialist. And please, I beg everybody to look out. Tara, where do people find the Social House?
At the Social House JA on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook.
And if you are looking for a space to get out of from your work from home, there is
Cowork JA on Hope Road in Ligony Post Mall. You may need our blazing internet if you are going to be doing your podcast, your YouTube shows, interviews such as this. We're there. We're there for you to work hard, work smart, work fast.
Thank you so much, Tara. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, as Beverlyn said, very, very informative. What a show. We have had Jessie Royal, singer, songwriter, performer, and recording artist. Khaled says, Tara is awesome. # true. True. We had Steve Urchin Wilson, entertainment manager and author. And we wrapped up with the great one herself, Tara Playfair-Scott, marketing public relations manager specialist. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for CovidCastJA. Remember, this episode is going to be available right here on our Facebook page, on YouTube, on smallbusinessportal.com. It is very important that you not only watch the show, but you sign up for our SME memo. Patricia, same thing I say, we're going to need a part 2. So look out for part 2, because as you see, we had some experts on who are experts in the industry, who have the experience and who have the learning. And we're going to have to talk about things like publishing and royalties with Steve. So yes, Patricia will be back. So please, SME, email us at sme@psoj.org. But also, if you're wondering, but what about the other episode of the memos? They're available on smallbusinessportal.com. We also would like to remind you that We Pay, a member of the PSOJ, is providing 1,000 free online stores for MSMEs to sell online on Sunday, May 16th, 2021, this Sunday. To register for your free e-commerce store and find out more, go to www.weshopscaribbean.com. And on Sunday, we will also have the annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture. It is going to be live on TVJ. And it also is going to be on YouTube. Yes, because it's those kind of times. May 16th, this Sunday also at 3 p.m., Keith Duncan, CEO of JMMB Group and president of the PSOJ, is the guest speaker, and he is going to be exploring the topic, leadership during crisis. It cannot be missed. So I just want to again thank our sponsors, NCB Group, the JMMB Group. Yes, the PSOJ brings you every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. CovidCastJA. Thank you for being here again with us, Sandra Palmer. So we're going to continue our discussion on the cultural and creative industry. And guys, we've talked about the event industry. We have talked about, we've looked at contracts, at important considerations in contracts. I mean, we've had so many interesting topics. We had influencers on, we had Terry Carell and Rushcam on. Please, beg you, this weekend, if you're in Jamaica, you have another lockdown. Why don't you just binge watch CovidCastJA, learn and grow your business at the same time? So we're going to see you again next week, Thursday at 7:30 p.m. for another episode of CovidCastJA, brought to you by the NCB Group and JMMB Group. The PSOJ presents CovidCastJA, and we say, walk good till we see you again next week.
So you have a great idea to start a business, but you don't know where to start. We completely understand. You have a lot of questions and almost no answers. Smallbusinessportal.com is here to help. At smallbusinessportal.com, you gain access to information on loans, grants, and investment opportunities from verified financial institutions. Guess what you also get? Useful business tips, access to training. All these services combine to make your business idea into a reality. Start your journey today at smallbusinessportal.com.